Summary of the Island of Dr. Moreau by H. G. Wells. The story starts with the narrator, a scientist named Edward Prendick, telling how he was shipwrecked and lost at sea for days before a small trade ship came to rescue him. A man named Montgomery wakes him up and starts to nurse him back to health with the help of his small, ugly helper, Miling. Prendick is turned off by Miling's look, but he doesn't know why until he sees a greenish gleam in Miling's eyes at night, like an animal's. Montgomery and Miling are going with a lot of caged animals, including many rabbits and a puma, but they won't tell Prendick what their plan is. As Montgomery and Miling get closer to the island they are going to, the ship's owner, Captain Davis, gets drunk and starts to be mean to Miling. This causes a fight between Davis and Montgomery. Prendick steps in and stops a fight, but the captain doesn't like him for it. When they get to the island, the captain tells Prendick that he must also get off the ship either by jumping overboard or by joining Montgomery and his employer, a scientist named Moreau, who owns the island. At first, Montgomery and Moreau don't want Prendick to join them on the island. However, after Captain Davis sets Prendick lost at sea for the second time, they feel sorry for him and bring him to the island. Prendick is locked up in a small room with doors to both Moreau's lab and the forest on the island. Prendick is amazed by how secretive Moreau's office is because the door is always locked. Prendick knows the name Moreau, and though it takes him a while to put it together, he remembers that a decade ago, Moreau had caused a lot of public anger because he was found to be doing vivisection on a live dog. The dog fled his lab after being cut open, and the scientist was caught. The public was shocked, and though Moreau could have apologized for his work and kept his position in society, he chose to continue his study and go into hiding instead. From his room, Prendick can hear that Moreau has started working on the puma again, which sounds like vivisection from the screams. Prendick cannot stay in his room any longer. He walks out of his room and into the forest. Prendick is wandering the island when he comes across a man with the same strange features as Miling. The man was on all fours and drinking from a stream like an animal. When the man sees that Prendick has seen him drinking, he acts like he feels bad about it. As Prendick keeps wandering around, he comes across a group of people who look like people but have strangely pig-like features. One of them quickly gets down on all fours like an animal. As night falls, Prendick gets even more upset and chooses to go back to his room. On his way, he notices that something is following him. Prendick runs away in fear, and the thing follows him all the way to the beach. As the monster gets closer, Prendick hits it in the head with a rock, knocking it out. Even though Prendick is too scared to get close to it, he can tell that, like the others he has seen, it is a mix of a man and an animal, probably a man who has been given animalistic traits. Prendick makes it back to his room safely and demands an answer from Montgomery. Montgomery won't give up, but he does manage to get Prendick to drink a sleep potion by telling him that the rest will calm his worries. The next morning, when Prendick wakes up, he finds that the door from his room to Moreau's office has been left open by chance. When Prendick goes inside, he finds a person-looking creature that has been cut up but is still living and tied to an operating table. Moreau finds Prendick in his operating room and kicks him out, but Prendick has seen enough. He is sure that Moreau is doing vivisection on people to give them animal-like traits and that he will be the next person to be strapped to the operating table. Prendick is so scared that he makes a crude weapon out of a metal strap and runs into the bush. He meets the ape-man, who likes the fact that Prendick has 5 fingers like he does and takes him to a group of hovels built by the beast folk, who are also people who look like animals. The beast folk all seem to be able to speak English to a low degree, and they are loosely led by a big, gray-furred humanoid thing they call the Sayer of the Law. The beast folk and the Sayer of the Law teach Prendick the law. The law is a set of religious-sounding incantations that tell the beast folk they can't act like animals in any way. Each ban ends with the incantation, "Are we not men?" and makes Moreau the most powerful person in the world. Even though the beast folk are friendly to Prendick, it seems like they think he is one of them, since he has the same extra parts that they do. Moreau goes to the village of the beast folk and tells them to give Prendick back. Again, Prendick runs away into the forest. This time, he heads for the ocean, where he plans to kill himself rather than let Moreau turn him into a beast folk. But when he gets about halfway in, Prendick sees that he just can't do it. Moreau and the beast folk find him standing in the water. Moreau tells Prendick that he is wrong about what is going on and that he is not doing any experiments on people. As a sign of good faith, Moreau gives Prendick a pair of revolvers. This gets Prendick to go back to his room so Moreau can tell him everything. When they sit down together, Moreau tells Prendick that he has spent the last 10 years on this island doing study on vivisection and that the beast folk are not people who have turned into animals, but animals who have been made into humans, at least partly. Moreau's final goal is to change an animal into a human, but he hasn't been able to do that yet. He has been able to change animal bodies into humanoid shapes and change their brains to make them smarter, but they are still not as smart as a normal person. Moreau's products, on the other hand, tend to turn back into animals over time. That's why he taught them the law to stop them from acting on their animal traits. Even though Moreau doesn't like the creatures he made and often kills the ones he thinks are the worst, Montgomery seems to like them a lot. He seems to like the beast folk more than the people he meets when he goes to the coast of Chile to get supplies every year. Even though he is kind, Montgomery is an alcoholic. Prendick thinks that this makes him useless for human society and makes him a good fit for his life on the island as Moreau's helper. A few days later, Montgomery finds the bones of a rabbit that someone from the beast folk must have eaten. This is a scary discovery because the law says that beast folk can't eat meat or taste blood because it could make them go back to their animal habits. Moreau calls the beast folk together, and they say that the suspect is the leopard man, the thing that chased Prendick on the beach. The leopard man is supposed to be sent back to Moreau's operation table, which the beast folk call the House of Pain. Instead, he doesn't listen and runs away. People and beast folk both give chase. Prendick is the first person to find the leopard man hiding in some trees. Feeling sorry for him, he shoots the creature in the head so that he won't have to go through any more experiments on him, which makes Moreau angry. Prendick thinks that the leopard man wasn't the only beast folk member acting like an animal. He thinks that the hyena swine, who is the strongest and scariest of the beast folk, has also been tasting blood, stalking animals, and running on all fours. 6 weeks into Prendick's stay on the island, the puma that Moreau has been working on escapes from the operating room and runs into the bush, with Moreau in hot chase. When Moreau finds the puma, it strikes him, and the two of them end up killing each other. When Prendick, Montgomery, and the beast folk find the bodies, it makes the beast folk question what they used to think about the law and Moreau's power. By thinking quickly, Prendick is able to convince the beast folk that Moreau hasn't really died but has just left his body so he can watch them from the sky. The beast folk are suspicious, but this trick is enough to keep the law in place for now. Prendick wants to leave the island, but Montgomery, who is crazy because Moreau died, gets the beast folk drunk with him, sets fire to the boats, and stops Prendick from leaving. During the party, the sayer of the law kills Montgomery and Myling, leaving Prendick as the only other person on the island. At the same time, a spilled oil lamp sets fire to Moreau's office and the rooms next to it. This means that Prendick has nowhere to lock himself away from the beast folk. Because he has no other choice, Prendick tries to fit in with the beast folk, even though their society is falling apart. Over the next 10 months, Prendick lives with the beast folk and watches as they slowly change back into their animal forms. The dogman becomes his friend and protector until the hyena swine kills him. Prendick kills the hyena swine with his gun. Even though Prendick tries to build a raft several times, he finds that he is not very good at it. But a boat with 2 dead sailors washes up on the beach, and Prendick takes it out to see himself. After 3 days, a ship comes along and saves him. After a year on Dr. Moreau's island, he goes back to the real world. But when he goes back to England, Prendick finds that he can't handle the noise of towns and the constant presence of other people. He fears that they will turn into animals, which he sees as a possibility in them. Even though he knows this is mostly a dream, he still has a lot of fear about it. For the rest of his life, Prendick lives alone in the country and studies chemistry and astronomy. As Prendick looks at the stars, he thinks that what sets humans apart from animals is their ability to be amazed by the universe.
About the author. H.G. Wells was born in Kent, England. Wells' family did not have a lot of money, and their salary was not secure. Wells broke his leg as a child. While he was healing, he read a lot of books, which made him want to become a writer. Wells worked as an apprentice for a draper when he was a youngster so that he could help pay for his family. Later, he became a teacher. Then, he went to college to study biology and joined the debating society there. He got a bachelor's degree in zoology in the end. His first book, The Time Machine, came out in 1895, not long after this. After that, he quickly put out a number of other books, such as The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Invisible Man, and The War of the Worlds. Wells was one of the most important people in the early days of science fiction. He correctly predicted many of the technological advances of the 20th and 21st centuries, as well as big world events like World War II. He was diagnosed with diabetes, and in 1946 he died at his home in London.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.